How strongly should we shun Mike Mayer for saying that Cobb is his favorite baseball movie of all time? That and more in the Thursday, September 9th edition of Leading Off. Your crew today is Brendan Tuma. It's Dan Harris. And as always, it's the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. Dan, will start with Mayer's egregious claim from yesterday's show.
I listened to the show while walking the dog yesterday, and I almost had to turn around and go back and break my computer because I was never going to watch this show again or appear on this show. To say Cobb is your favorite baseball movie is basically an affront to the sport of baseball that you and I love, to the cinematic universe. And he doesn't even have Bull Durham on his top 7. So I don't even know where to go. Also, by the way, as I look to recover, I want to give a shout out to one other movie, Tuma, which we have not mentioned, which wasn't even on Mayer's, Little Big League. Okay. That is a real underrated film right there. Okay. I got to teach Will about Ken Griffey Jr. and Randy Johnson from that movie. He learned what signs were. He still doesn't really understand baseball signs, but he learned what it is. That's one that we get off. Put that one in, add 16 other baseball movies. Then you get to Cobb. I'm just angry at Mayer. Done.
Mayer and I got a tweet at us yesterday about Little Big League, actually, and it got like 6 likes, which when you just tweet at someone, a lot of people must have seen it and liked it. So you have some supporters with Little Big League. For me, it was the conviction with which he had Cobb number 1. You know, he didn't come in and say, well, there's Moneyball, there's Sandlot, there's Bull Durham, but don't forget about Cobb. He said, no, it's just Cobb's number 1. And that's what did it for me.
It's ridiculous. Like, Cobb's fine. I'll watch Cobb if it's on, because if you are about baseball or especially a real player, like, I'll watch it. That's fine. And Tommy Lee Jones is appropriately, snarky. But come on, Mayer. God. But I mean, look, kudos to Mayer. He often has unpopular opinions because he's a terrible football and baseball analyst. So let that carry over to movies. And I think it works for us. But personally, I did not think my level of respect for Mayer could get lower, and it somehow reached a new level. So way to go, Mayer. Oh, I watched Cobb, Mayer. Mayer is commenting in our chat. I've seen Cobb. If it's a movie, I've seen it, and it's not the best baseball movie ever made, or in the top 10 or in the top 50. So enough.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who Tommy Lee Jones is. But anyways, we will move on to the baseball analysis. Dan, to start, I have an important question for you that could define our relationship for years to come. Are you a part of the Joe Ryan fan club, or are you on the outside looking in?
I guess I'll be part of the fan club, but purely because you text me about him 17 times a day. So for that, I am in the fan club. I will not comment too much more on what I think of him from a fantasy perspective. He's fine, but if it keeps our friendship intact, I'm so on board. Tuma, best player ever. I build a statue to him in my backyard.
For those who did stream Joe Ryan in a playoff week, you must be feeling good. 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, just 7 whiffs. But I do want to note that he got a lot of called strikes, which is, good as well. He only needed 85 pitches, so he was efficient. He gets the Indians again next week. I assume you'd be okay using him there, Dan?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't love him, but he certainly has looked good so far in the majors. He had a good AAA season. So, yeah, I'll roll him out for right now until he has a clunker, the league catches up to him a little bit.
Yeah, he's the first Twins pitcher to retire 19 in a row since Francisco Liriano. That was a name I hadn't heard in a while, so I thought that was a fun stat.
Do you even know who he was? He was pitching before you were born.
Huge prospect. Yeah, okay. I was all in on Liriano.
Okay.
And Joe Ryan, a former water polo player, he does one of those swimming stretches that like Michael Phelps does before he goes in the pool. He does that before each inning. So he's a fun guy. He was against Tristan McKenzie last night in just a delightful pitching matchup for me. Again, McKenzie was awesome. 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. He had 11 whiffs. He's allowed more than 1 walk just once since July. Again, we kind of thought McKenzie might be shut down for the season, but he is going to ride fantasy managers into the sunset here, it seems.
This is weird. Honestly, you're right. I kind of had completely disregarded McKenzie rest of the season, and he had struggled with his control, and now he looks great. And I'm kind of buying this. My worries with McKenzie, I didn't love him coming into the year. Some people gave him a lot of helium, and long term, I have a lot of concerns, as we've talked about, just because of his frame. But for the short term, for the rest of this year, I'm all in. And I think next year is probably a guy who I'm going to be buying, because this has been a really, really impressive stretch here. And it's not like he's outperforming his peripherals or anything like that. He's earning his good starts. So this is impressive. And if you do roster him, I really just think that he's like a set it and forget it type of guy right now.
Yeah, we got a comment here from the Peanuts and the Crackjacks. McKenzie and Webb have saved my pitching staff. It's so funny how in September baseball, like these are the guys we're using, and it's not, you know, some of the aces and the studs that we drafted early in drafts.
And if you're in a head-to-head league, by the way, this is what I always sort of joke about, and we talked about it, how Frank Schwindel basically dragged my terrible team. Again, I had a great team early on. I had Bieber, I had Glasnow. And obviously then I just kind of limped along. I barely won against my good friend Adam, who I've mentioned before, gotten into the playoffs. And now it's just sort of the randos, right, who are like suddenly performing, and there aren't that many teams in contention picking up these guys, and they're the ones who are kind of taking through. So good lesson if you like, especially in a head-to-head league, just get to the playoffs, because at that point there are always these guys, always some of these guys who kind of explode and drag you and let you make a run.
Absolutely. Two other standouts from Wednesday night.
Oh, Tuma. Yeah. You're okay. You're all right. The length of time it took you to even get the day is just, it's disconcerting, but that's okay.
It's baseball, it's football, it's
You're
coming
good.
Off the end of the summer. It is
You're
crazy
good.
times. Sandy Alcantara, 9 innings, 1 run, 14 strikeouts against a terrible team called the Mets. He had 27 swinging strikes. That's insane. Sandy Alcantara has been one of, you know, when we look back at who is the best draft day values coming into the year, like Alcantara in hindsight has to be, you know, one of those picks for like a fantasy MVP type thing.
I got a text from some of my very angry Mets fans, you know, towards the end of the game before they lost it, just basically saying like, I can't believe the Mets offense didn't show up today and blah, blah. And I was in the middle of a fantasy football draft, my last one, and I was watching that game. That was as good as I can remember a pitcher looking ever. That wasn't on losing the game was on the Mets, but not hitting Alcantara. I mean, he was absolutely, maybe the gun was juiced, but he was hitting late in the game 100 miles per hour with movement on the fastball. It was bizarre to watch, actually. So the whole year he's been great. 3.24 ERA, 110 WHIP, plenty of strikeouts, few walks, but especially now, man, he's at 180 innings, right? We talked to him, I know, because you reference it all the time about the whole, wow, these guys are hitting there. He's just getting better and better somehow, despite the innings jump. So phenomenal all season long. If you roster him right now, he is just going to be a beast down the stretch. A little worried that they let him throw like 120 pitches yesterday. I guess they wanted him to get the W, but still just awesome the whole year, and especially now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a great get for the Marlins. I think they got him in the Marcell Ozuna trade with the Cardinals. So that is a huge win for the Marlins in that. And finally, Miguel Cabrera went 4 for 4. I just wanted to shout him out. He's 29 hits away from 3,000. This was his first 4-hit game since April of 2019. We talked about Pujols the other day, and some of these guys, when they have those bloated contracts, we kind of, you know, start making fun of the contract too much and not appreciating their greatness enough. But I mean, Miggy is going to go down as obviously one of the best players of his generation.
Yeah, and he's still, right? He still has a 404 on base percentage this year. Like, the dude just knows the strike zone. And yeah, I remember when he hit, like, I think it was the Grand Slam when he first came up, and it was like before you were born, and it was like, who is this kid? This is going to be amazing. But yeah, it's always the fun game to say who, if they retired right now, would be a Hall of Famer. Obviously Miggy, obviously Pujols. But in the chat, I may have brought this up a couple of weeks ago. I like to hear who people think could retire right now at this point and be a Hall of Famer. Miggy's fantastic. One of the great players, not just of our era, but of all time.
A couple downed, Touki Toussaint, 3 innings, 1 hit, 4 walks. It was just not good to see after the bad start against Coors. And then Luis Gil, 3 1/3 innings, 7 walks. We heard that he had control issues in the minors. They hadn't really surfaced in the majors until now, but both these guys, I think we've been kind of flirting with them, similar to, you know, the Joe Ryans of the world as streaming options, but I'm kind of shying away from both of them moving forward.
Yeah, I think that I am not going anywhere near them right now.
How are you going to trust them going in?
There's no way. There's no way. I get Gil was like somebody we were like, nice pronunciation, by the way. Gil was good for a while we were like, ooh, look at this. But you're right. Eventually, the bill comes due, as it's from from a Marvel movie there. If you can place it.
Jeez, I know everything about Marvel, but
Doctor Strange, man. Doctor Strange. The bill. No, it's not like a real one. It's like an under the radar one. The bill comes due. Strange. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, moving on to the news and notes. Randy Arozarena was placed on the paternity list, and the Rays recalled top prospect Josh Lowe. Yeah, that's a Lowe because it's Nate Lowe and Josh Lowe.
Correct.
Brothers, but then
you are right.
Brandon Lau. It's a lot.
Too many. Yeah.
He went 1-for-1 with a walk and a stolen base. I just wanted to note that Arozarena is expected back this weekend, and it sounds like they're gonna send Lowe back down, so he's not a must add or anything. It also hurts losing Arozarena if you have him in a weekly league because he's been red hot. Yep. Eloy Jimenez was out of the lineup with a significant bone bruise on his knee. Hopefully he's okay. Jesus Aguilar was placed on the IL with knee inflammation. That doesn't seem like a huge deal, but like as of 2-3 days ago, he was still leading the National League in RBIs, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then finally, Keibert Ruiz, the Nationals catcher, returned to the lineup yesterday. Both him and Alejandro Kirk are decent options if you just need upside at catcher.
Yeah, they're fine. I mean, he hasn't done much in the majors, but it's catcher. So unless you got Salvador Perez, you're basically just like shooting darts. So whatever.
Some Wednesday pitching standouts. Nathan Eovaldi, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs against the Rays. And we've talked about like the Rays have the best offense in baseball, actually. So this was a really good performance. Eovaldi is tied for 3rd in the American League in WAR, according to Baseball Reference. Pretty strong season for him. Like he hasn't been someone who was, at any point this year was like, oh my God, Nathan Eovaldi. But if you've had him all year, like he's been amazing.
Yeah, he's somebody actually who kudos to America because he was just a guy who he's been around forever and he's just never been able to fully put it together because again, his fastball, while fast, is straight as an arrow and everybody in the majors can hit that. So in the end, I really didn't want a piece of him. I was reluctant to move him up the trade chart, but it's really been a fantastic season. The strikeouts, after struggling with them early in his career because he just couldn't miss bats, they're over a strikeout per inning. His ERA and WHIP are in line. It's really been a fantastic season for him. And there's really not anything fluky about it. It's backed up by his FIP and his XFIP and everything like that. So kudos to Eovaldi for sort of figuring things out as he got into the mid stages of his career. And I think he's probably a guy you can buy like long-term as well.
Yeah. Frankie Montas, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run against the White Sox. He's just been so amazing since rediscovering that splitter. And Mayer had sent us a tweet from Saris about how he's still tinkering with his cutter and slider and he's throwing them harder. So whatever Montas has figured out recently, like it's definitely been intentional. And again, like I always love trying to pinpoint the reason why, a player is breaking out or is it, versus if it's just luck. And it's just so clear that like Montas has figured out the optimal pitch mix for his arsenal.
17.6% splitter usage in April, 15.9 in May, 17.5 in June, 34.3 in July, 27.1 in August. Lean into your best pitch, man. Sometimes that's okay. And again, I have a lot of shares of Montas. Joe and I were pretty big on him coming into the season. So I have a lot of shares. I've been watching him and yeah, it was kind of maddening. Like he was relying on the fastball a lot. Like, and his fastball is good and fine. But when he started leaning into that splitter, it made the fastball more effective, made the slider more effective. So yeah, just lean into your best pitch. The Patrick Corbin it, man, all day long. So this is really, really exciting to watch. Actually, it faded him a little bit in previous matchups because he had a bunch of tough matchups in a row and I still wasn't fully buying and he just dominated them. So he's just one of the surprise starters this year.
Anyone watching on YouTube, Fantasy Pros MLB, if you listen to the podcast but don't watch on YouTube, it would still go a long way if you subscribe. You will notice that I've been wearing a hat recently, and that's because I desperately need a haircut. My hair is getting way too long. What I always make sure to take care of, though, trimming, is grooming and using Manscaped, using the Lawnmower 4.0 specifically, which has a new multifunction on-off switch that can engage a travel lock created for people who like to travel. And leading off listeners can get 20% off with free shipping. Code leading off at manscaped.com. The new trimmer even allows you to customize the trim all the way through, additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. Again, that's 20% off and free shipping with code leading off at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com, leading off.
Nice. Really, really solid. Not in any way awkward.
Some final standouts from Wednesday. Adam Wainwright, 8 1/3 innings, 4 runs, but he picked up his 15th win. So amazing. And then Yu Darvish bounced back, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts against the Angels. Any takeaway from these two?
Wainwright was better than 4 runs allowed. He allowed 2 of them, I think, in the 9th. I didn't actually see the game, so I didn't know if Gallegos let them in or whether or not Wainwright. But I mean, he gave up 2 of those runs in the 9th. Fantastic. Good point, by the way. If you have any interest in sports betting whatsoever, I made the last 3 days, we have a pick of the day on our app, the Betting Pros app. Just download it from the App Store, totally free. We have a pick of the day. My last 3, I have been in charge of making them. They have been baseball bets. They have all hit. And betting on baseball is just like navigating, whatever. The Dodgers and the Cards were on the money line. They were even just to win the game. Talked about how good Wainwright has been this whole year, which you and I have talked about a lot. And it came through. I'm just patting myself on the back a little bit, but you should check that out, our Betting Pros app. Wainwright's fantastic, man. I mean, I don't know how he completely rediscovered like the fountain of youth, but he really, really has. So he's a guy who I love. And Darvish, you needed to start like this from Darvish. Like we needed just like the very, very solid start. I don't know about you, Tuma, if you're playing in a league where you have any shares. I have not like taken him out of my lineup. Like I'm just going down with the ship when he was struggling a little bit. So hopefully this is what we see going forward.
Yeah, we've talked about that with guys like Aaron Nola and Eduardo Rodriguez as well, especially in a roto league. I'm just leaving them out there every time just because the supporting numbers are so good. Shout out to Joe Pisapia, who's here for the ad.
Joey P. Joey P. He's right here. It's because he and I we have to record an ad read right after this, Tuma. And Joe, let's do the awkward thing. I like the way Tuma does it, where he kind of looks like he's about to stop talking and then he kind of stumbles over his words and then he just nails it. Let's do one of those. Okay.
I'll give Joe another shout out because he has the Bryce Harper bought and Bryce Harper homered yesterday. Bryce went 1 for 1 with a homer and 3 walks. He's up to 29 homers. 22 of those have been solo shots. Hopefully that's something that corrects itself next season. Another stud from Wednesday, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his 41st homer. Look, we all know at this point, like Vlad is a stud, but it's worth pointing out he's leading the league in hitting at 320. The Blue Jays have won 7 in a row. Vlad's, again, 320 average, 41 homers, 99 RBIs, 106 runs, even 4 stolen bases. These are things that we love to see.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it the other day, too. I'm like, man, with the Blue Jays surging, if he drags them to the playoffs, is there going to be anybody who's going to vote for him for MVP because he's been so good? I don't see how you can with Ohtani. But man, look, this is why it's so tough with a guy like Vladdy, right? Who you have these high expectations for and he comes in under them. And then you have super high expectations for the next year and he comes in under them. And you're just like, at some point he's going to put it all together. This is coming. And you always have to pay that price. But that's why do a bunch of leagues, always get that one share of the guy who's going to explode. Because you never know when it's going to be this type of season, which is just absolutely mind-bogglingly incredible.
Yep, he will not come at a discount in drafts next season. Some guys who did this year, Robbie Grossman went 4 for 5 with a homer. He's up to 22 homers and 16 stolen bases. That is rock solid for roto leagues. And Hunter Renfroe hit his 27th homer of the season. He also had 2 incredible outfield assists in a game the Red Sox desperately needed to win.
Yeah, Renfroe's been great. I will just throw that out there. Again, I actually have a few shares of him just because there was something where you knew his defense would keep him in the lineup for that. And he's just really taken leaps as a hitter right now. He used to be just kind of a lefty masher. So really glad that he's been able to kind of put it all together this year.
A couple of our favorite Royals, Salvador Perez hit homer number 42, and Whit Merrifield picked up 3 hits, including his 40th steal of the season.
Where's my waffles? Where's greater than 0? I want to talk about again how Rafael Devers and having Whit Merrifield equivalent to Rafael Devers in the trade chart was an affront to humanity. So hopefully he's listening right now and he's thinking, yeah, Dan wasn't quite as wrong as I thought, which is my goal in life.
Some duds from Wednesday. Aroldis Chapman, just 2/3 of an inning. He's just been so shaky. Like he'll figure it out for a few appearances in a row, and then he implodes. He ended up getting yanked in the 9th in a game. The Yankees lost their 5th in a row, and they've really been like, they had that insane 13-game winning streak, but since then they're imploding, and the AL wild card is all jammed up between the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox. So I don't know, like, they still keep going back to Chapman. I assume they still will moving forward, but definitely not a good outcome for him.
Yeah, there's not much you can do. I mean, especially with Loizaga on that IL. I don't know. What do you want to do? If you have Chapman, you're probably just rolling him out there, hoping for the best.
Freddie Peralta needed 81 pitches to get through just 3 2/3 innings. He struggled in both starts since coming back from his shoulder injury. It makes it tough. He gets the Tigers next week. I feel like you got to use him if you have him, but temper expectations.
He'll probably be a 2-star pitcher too, right? I mean, that's my guess. So especially in a weekly league, like, you just have to at this point. And again, in a points league, especially like where he's RP eligible, it's really hard to avoid him. So I'm just going with him as he works his way back. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
And then finally, Jeff McNeil. I've been picking on him a lot this year, but he was hitless again, down to hitting just 244 with a 659 OPS. I don't figure that anyone is still using him, but if you are, get rid of him.
Yeah, he doesn't offer really anything at all right now because he's got no speed and doesn't really have much power and doesn't really do anything. So yeah, if you are rostering Jeff McNeil and you are still paying attention to fantasy baseball, you are an excellent, excellent player that you are still in contention with Jeff McNeil on your roster, but go ahead and drop him.
Is this so? We're going to move on to the home run leaderboard here and give some updates, but is this correct that tough guy Joe Pizzapia is at 29 homers, one behind Randy for the overall lead?
I'm telling you, the Bryce Harper into perpetuity call was a huge one. It's hard. I mean, Harper has been great, but kudos to Joey, by the way. I mean, Joey not only was like MVP bets, which I have. I want to know what the current MVP odds are right now, by the way, but went with Harper and then went with Harper into perpetuity. He's been super hot. Joe may win this entire thing. It's obnoxious. I personally, even when I'm not here, make my own home run calls. So I consider it a little bit of cheating, but that's fine. Tough guy, Joe Pizzapia. Fine. Almost winning this whole thing. Somebody has to stop him. Randy, you got to do it, man. Come on.
We're up to 1,094 dingers for the season. I think we're definitely I think we should move the goalpost again, actually, because 1,200 is going to be too easy. So
let's hit 1,200. Let's hit 1,200, and then let's move the goalpost to, lower little baby steps. Okay. You want me to go through the winners, by the way, the hitters yesterday for the homers? Yeah. All right. My bad. So 18 home runs called from the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. Excellent. Joey P, as we said, Harper 29 behind only Randy. Go Cards has been on a crazy streak right now. I love to see it. Matt Chapman, great call. I made that call too. We'll talk about it in a second, but he is also tied with Joey P at 29, 4 homers in the last 3 days. Helpless in Miami went with Salvador Perez. He is up to 26. Turf Ferguson and Dinger Dan, Matt Chapman, 25 total, still behind Mayor. Darn it, Mayor at 24 with Votto. Wonky Penguin. Yeah, Juan Soto. Get up there, Wonky, with 24. Derek from Texas, Ak also called Salvi Perez at 24. And Cat Fox called Votto at 23. 21 people now. 21 have called at least 20 home runs. I cannot wait until next year, man. When we get this started from the get-go and how crazy it's going to be right now. Let's go for 2,000 home runs for the whole year. Crazy next year. But yes, this is a spirited race right now where it's open legit to like 15 or 20 people if they go on a run. So let's go. You got a couple more weeks. Let's get the home run calls in.
Joe is in the chat talking about the betting odds, and I did just pull up FanDuel Sportsbook. Bryce Harper is second in the National League right now at plus 440.
Behind who?
MVP. Tatis is minus 250.
I just don't think it's going to be. Are the Padres going to make it to the playoffs? Admittedly, I've lost the standings at this point. So maybe.
Yeah.
But,
if anyone has a feel for NL MVP, because then like Freddie Freeman's plus 950, Muncy plus 1,100. Like it's a little bit all over the place. Whereas in the American League, Ohtani is minus 7,000. So
yeah. I mean, I guess the Padres are right there with the Reds, but I'm rooting for the Phillies to get there. Joey, if the Phillies make it, I mean, maybe it'll be Tatis. Tatis has a better season, but if the Phillies make it and Harper drags them kicking and screaming, it's got to be Harper. And then Joey and I are going Sizzler. No problem.
Randy Arozarena for AL Rookie of the Year at minus 130. That feels like pretty good odds. It kind of feels like he's a lock.
Who's second in that one?
It's only minus 130. Adolis Garcia plus 350.
All right, it's Adolis, number one. Okay, stop saying Adolis. Yeah, I would go with the Rosarena.
Okay, We are moving on to DFS. It's a small slate tonight, just 4 games, which means our options are limited. So we are trying to hone in on exactly which pitchers we want to use. Dan, who do you like?
Nobody, if I'm being absolutely honest. But if I've got to go somewhere, I'm not going with Barrios against the Yankees, just because, look, Barrios, I feel like I never know whether or not I'm going to sit down, buckle up for the Barrios start, and I'm going to be like, ooh, he's got it tonight, or he's going to give up hits to the first 4 batters and just give up 3 runs and then have a mediocre start. So probably staying away from him, as I am from John Means, even against the Royals. 8,100. He is 7,100 on DraftKings, so I can live with him on DraftKings, not as much on FanDuel. I do like Ranger Suarez against the Rockies. 8,600 on FanDuel, only 7,400 on DraftKings, more of a secondary arm and everything like that in a GPP play. And Huascar Ynoa against Washington, there's some bad blood there that makes me a little nervous, but he has been pretty decent since coming back. 8,000 on FanDuel and 8,600 on DraftKings, more of a tournament play. And I will say that the Mets and the Marlins, they're not on the FanDuel slate. I think it's only on the DraftKings main slate.
Correct.
But Stroman's 9,400 on DraftKings. Jesus Luzardo, just 6,700. I could see him completely shutting down the Mets because the Mets are terrible, but I'm not really going to rely on him. So really a GPP play only. Stroman more of a cash play.
Yeah, kind of like Stroman as just the all-around safest. You're right. Those are some uninspiring.
The problem is Stroman just doesn't get the strikeouts right. Yeah. And like he just, he nibbles a lot. His pitch count gets up. There is no, as you mentioned, though, no Jesus Aguilar. Like that lineup, they'll still win, I'm sure, against the Mets. But that lineup is just bad. So I don't know.
Some game stacks. We have the Braves going against Eric Fedde of the Nationals. I will point out that Ozzie Albies has just been absolutely on fire as of late, ever since returning from that knee injury. So he would be a good lineup builder, but luckily Mayer has provided us with some others as well.
Yeah. Whit Merrifield against John Means, only 3,200 on FanDuel. So that's somebody who just got to get in there. Our DraftKings is 5,200. Cedric Mullins continues to be excellent against the Royals, 3,400 and 4,700. Anthony Santander, 3,300 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DraftKings. Odubel Herrera against Senzatella, 2,800 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DraftKings. That's a little too pricey for me, but on FanDuel, fine. And Josh Bell, who, I believe hit a homer yesterday against Inoa, 3,400 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DK. And kudos to Mayer, who does a great job with the lineup builders and has really been excellent the whole year.
100%. If you need DFS advice or you want to bounce a question off someone, on Twitter at Mike Mayer is the person to reach out to. We're on to the home run calls of the night. Dan, you have put yours in the sheet.
As I always do. Every time, Tuma. It's like you act surprised every time I put in the sheet. And it's definitely for you. It's not because I'm so tired that I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget what my own home run call is. It's not why I do it. I am going with Freddie Freeman. Again, there is some bad blood here between the Nationals and the Braves. And again, the wind, as Mayer always knows, I get excited about, is supposed to be blowing out. I will take Freddie Freeman for my home run call. And you, Tuma, will do your patented I'm not making a call?
I'll just say Juan Soto.
Why don't you go with Albies? You just talked about how great he is.
All right, I'll go Albies.
Yeah, so easily manipulated. Like
Mike Mayer, DFS and movies. That's my specialty.
I will allow DFS. Your movie takes are horrible, and I don't ever want to hear you talk about a movie ever again. Even in our private text that we have with Tuma, I don't want to hear it. So enough. You're done.
Joe, if you are still here,
yes,
get in the Discord and let us know any baseball movie takes you have, like your favorite or your Mount Rushmore, anywhere like that. Tell Mayer that he's a fool for ranking Cobb #1. And for all the peanuts and the Cracker Jacks, make sure you guys are in the Fantasy Pros Discord. Myself, Dan, Joe, Mike, everyone else is there to talk baseball with you. Let's get some movie discussion going. Are you a fan of Little Big League as well? Like, it seems like Little Big League has all of a sudden seen everyone's like, oh, Little Big League here, Little Big League here.
Highly underrated. Like it gets left out of like Sandlot and Rookie of the Year. And like nobody talks about how secretly Little Big League is one of the great baseball movies of all time. And it pisses me off. My kids just watched it. We have movie night. Like on the weekends, they get to watch a movie, pick a movie. Will, as you know, is all baseball all the time, nonstop. And so when it's Will's choice, it is a baseball movie. And he picked Little Big League, which is like the one baseball movie that my daughter will allow because she loves it. So Little Big League, totes underrated. Oh, there's Joey P. Hold on. Joey P. No, you missed it. Angels in the Outfield, by the way, I will say one thing about Angels in the Outfield. I can't get it. Like, you can get everything on Amazon or on Netflix or something like that. If anybody knows where I can find the new Angels in the Outfield, not the original one, the new Angels in the Outfield, so I can show it to the kids, tell me, because the only thing I see is I've got to buy the DVD. So what does Joey P say? Go ahead for the peanut. Let everybody know.
Joe and I have 3 of the same 4 for
Mount
Rushmore. Joe has Sandlot, Field of Dreams, Major League, and Bull Durham. For me, I would replace Field of Dreams with Moneyball, but otherwise, that is a strong list.
I think that's it, actually. I think that is correct. Oh, I will say one other thing that Mayor said yesterday. I'm not going to say hate, because I'll watch any baseball movie, but also on his list was For the Love of the Game or For Love of the Game. I don't even remember if there's an extra done there. No. That's not it. That's not one of your best baseball movies. I don't even understand what planet Mayor is on right now. It's very, very upsetting because I've often relied on Mayor's judgment in so many areas of life. And now I'm rethinking my entire philosophy because it's terrible. I'm only going to go to you now, Tuma. Forget it. Mayor's done.
Some other comments here. 8 Men Out. Bad News
Great
Bears.
movie. Great movie.
There is
A League of Their Own. Joey P adds in. Absolutely. League of Their Own. Fantastic.
Mike Mayer.
I can't with Mayor. I can't with Mayor. All right.
We have said it all, and we are going to save the rest of this movie discussion for the off-season hour-long pod. We'll all get on, we'll all hop on, and we will end this debate once and for all. That will be coming, I promise. For Dan Harris, this has been Brendan Tuma leading off Thursday, September 9th. I will be back with Mayor tomorrow on Friday, and we will see you then.